grinding, it takes a lot of horsepower, especially with smaller tractors, skid steer, compact track loaders, and we wanted something that could be effectively productive even at low horsepower, to do a lot with a little.
The Stumpex design actually allows it to cut larger stumps at a faster speed than a traditional wheel grinder without throwing debris all over the work area. It's actually very good for going to residential areas, backyards. You won't have to put up fencing, guarding over windows, that sort of thing.
If you're doing land clearing on high production scale, a lot of acres per week, you take a Stumpex and put it on a skid steer, and that machine will produce substantial results per day compared to any other traditional method of stump grinding.
Just to give you an example, a typical 24-inch stump with a skid steer, 6 inches out of the ground, 18 inches into the ground, is probably a 15 to 20 minute stump. It's 3 minutes with the Stumpex.
The Stumpex is a unique technology that uses a very high reduction gearbox and a hydraulic motor. So we drive the high flow from a typical skid steer, whether it's on wheels or tracks. We end up taking that high flow and turning the motor through the gear reduction, so your auger bit's only turning about 17 RPM. The end result is horsepower and low speed is massive torque. We have over 33,000 foot-pounds of torque that helps to keep that stumper grinding through even the hardest of stumps.
Now remember, we're talking about skid steer power here. And typically in a skid steer, you would look at a 5 or 6 foot stump and say, no, let's go get something bigger that can handle this. With the Stumpex, you don't have to do that.
The Stumpex is designed really for stumps typically in the area of 8 inches and larger in diameter. If you go smaller, you may be able to work at them. It just takes a little bit of technique, and the average operator develops that skill over a couple of weeks of using the attachment. Where you might run into some circumstances that require a little more tactical approach would be if you had a stump that was rotten in the center. So now you're going to want to decide, can you get enough bite on the outer circumference that's not rotten? Or maybe you do have to do that angled bore on the side even though it's a larger stump. As long as you can get the threaded cone to take some bite into the material, it will take out the stump. The bigger the stump, maybe you take out multiple bores, where on a 12-inch oak, it's one pass and it's done.
In a traditional stumper that's turning high RPM, 500 to 900 RPM, if you hit a rock in that stump, which is not unusual, you're going to probably break a tool. With the Stumpex, it's just going to kind of push it out of the way or push itself out of the way. It can't hurt itself because it's not turning fast enough, yet it's drawing down fast enough to be productive.
The Stumpex has much lower running costs because there are no carbide teeth to replace, as you will find on conventional wheel grinders. All it requires is a sharpening of the blades every 1,000 stumps or so, just to make sure that they are remaining at the good edge.
If you look at the industry as a whole, there can be significant injury and high risk running high-speed stump grinder wheels. But you take the Stumpex and you take a lot of the risk out of the equation.
It's turning so slowly, it's not throwing material. So not only is the operator safe, but anyone who's near it, that's especially beneficial in an urban area, in between a sidewalk and a street, where you don't have to shut down traffic and you can take a stump out and not be disturbing any sensitive areas.
I would say the Stumpex is your safest, highest production, lowest total cost of operation stump grinding solution. The people that see this thing run cannot imagine how much production it produces and how it actually gets the results it gets until they've seen it run.